Welcome to the Alliance Connection, a podcast by the Greater Fort Dodge Growth Alliance. Each week, we bring you insights on business, economic development, and community growth in the Greater Fort Dodge region. Our focus is to drive progress, support local businesses, and enhance the quality of life in our area. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Alliance Connection. I'm Astra, your host today, and I'm so excited to welcome our guest, Lieutenant Governor Chris Cournoyer. Hi, Chris.
Hi. Thank you for having me, Astra.
Absolutely. This is going to be an exciting session where we can just chat about all the things going on. But before we do that, I just want to make sure that our listeners know we have our very last Leading Ladies event of the year. We will have this in Larimar Event Center, and we're going to have Kurt Olson, who is an Enneagram coach. It'll be a very interactive session over lunch with all of the best leading ladies in the region. So if you're not signed up yet, make sure that you are, or any of the leading ladies in your life, that you get them signed up, because this is definitely going to be one for the books. And also thanks to Unity Point Health for being our sponsor on that. But hi, Chris. Welcome to the Alliance Connection.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yes. And so we have had just a fun day. We've seen some really cool assets. Just so our listeners know, we went to our Biofuels lab today at Iowa Central. And that was your first visit through that lab.
It was. You know, I've known Dr. Ulrich for many years during my time in the Iowa Senate. I was involved with the education budget, and he was a good advocate for community colleges coming down to the Capitol to advocate for that. But so it was nice to come up here and see, his domain and what's going on with the community college, and then also your collaboration with private industry, with the lab. It's just incredible, and what it can do for not only the region, but for the state of Iowa.
Absolutely.
I mean, it really sets us up for success into the future.
Absolutely. And I think that is such a hidden gem that we have right here to really set us apart and be, a leader in the nation. So I'm so glad that you got a chance to walk through that with us today.
And we don't want it to be a hidden gem. We want it to be something that everyone knows about. So we're here to talk about, how do we amplify the message and talk about all the great things that are going on around here in this region and also across the state of Iowa. We really want to be able to amplify and spotlight these wonderful things that are going on in the state so people know we're here.
Absolutely. So some things that I think would be really cool to talk about is, what is it like a day in the life as Lieutenant Governor for the state of Iowa, Chris?
Well, it's never a dull moment, I'll say that.
Okay.
No day is like the one before. I really working with the governor. I mean, she is like an Energizer bunny. She puts her heart and soul into her role as the governor of Iowa, and being there with her in the office is just the honor of a lifetime, first of all. I served as a state senator for 6 years. Before that, I was a local school board member, and I've kind of been involved with the STEM Council and seen her energy and support of the Iowa Governor STEM Council, and now working beside her in her office and supporting her initiatives. It's just been it's a real ride. It's been about 11 months that I've been in office. It's not quite a year yet, but going into the office and being part of her team and representing her across the state has been a bit of a change. But, I'm representing her as the co-chair of the Iowa Governor STEM Council. And I'm also, she's entrusted me to be the co-chair of the Empower Rural Iowa Initiative. And then most recently, last week, she has entrusted me to chair the Iowa America 250 initiative. So a lot going on. And then, other tasks as designated, right? Yeah. Taking her spot, when she's unable to attend an event or when we're being asked to be in two places at once, we kind of divide and conquer across the state. But really traveling the state and getting to know Iowans and listening to their concerns and their issues and taking it back to the governor's office is really my main task right now. And that's why I'm here in the Fort Dodge area. Nice.
That's really neat. Can you talked a little bit about Empower Rural Iowa. Can you share so that some of our listeners can just learn more about that programming?
Yeah, so that started about 5 or 6 years ago with an executive order from Governor Reynolds to really address issues that were being faced in rural Iowa, and they split it into 3 buckets. One was broadband access, so internet access across the state. Another bucket was affordable rural housing, and then the other one was leadership development in our rural communities, like making sure that we're building the pipeline of future leaders in our communities to continue with growth and vitalization of those communities. So, we, did a lot in those three spaces over the course of 5 years. And then in 2023, the governor reordered within a new executive order to kind of turn our focus towards being more of an innovative think tank for rural Iowa, which is really interesting.
Cool.
So we have some funding through the economic development budget, and we are really looking for innovative ideas to help grow and revitalize our rural towns. And we've addressed everything from rural grocery stores to succession planning. Just think of that, maybe a dentist or a hairdresser or a car wash.
Right.
Those people want to move on, they want to retire, but they don't have a sense of how they're going to pass that business on either to the next generation or to someone else in the community. So providing resources for that, addressing childcare issues, and then really also we've got a Boost task force that comes out and can help a community identify their needs and then help prioritize those needs and then connect them with resources to implement their priorities. So with grant funding and just expertise in rural economic development, we've got a real powerhouse of developers that can go out and help our rural communities and be that resource for them to take it to the next level and revitalize their towns. So it's really been great. I love being part of that. I come from a rural area in eastern Iowa, so just seeing that we were very intentional in supporting our rural communities is something that I really am glad to be part of.
Nice. And I learned something today that I didn't know before, that you were a reserve deputy in your hometown, right? Mm-hmm. Can you share about how that experience went?
Oh my goodness. So, I was on the school board, and my son was a member of the we had a trap shooting team at Pleasant Valley, and we had some Scott County Sheriff deputies that were helping us out with the team. And they said they were looking for 10 new deputies and they really needed some more women on the force. And so that kind of intrigued me. And I thought, okay, well, that'll be an experience.
Yeah.
And, I enjoy using my talents and skills to support my community. And it looked like pretty interesting work. So I put in for it and I got it. And, it was a real opportunity to not only be involved in the community and support it from that perspective, but, a reserve deputy really goes through all the same training a certified officer goes through. So, the qualifications for firearms and all the defensive tactics and community policing and all that was, really an eye-opening experience. Yeah. And then, when I served in the legislature and we ran that back, the blue bill a couple of years ago, I actually floor managed the bill because, I experienced a lot of the issues that our law enforcement officers go through. When someone calls 911, they're not having a good day.
Right.
They expect someone to answer the call and to show up and provide assistance 24/7. 365 days a year. And it's sometimes it's very gratifying work. Sometimes you see some things that are really quite tragic. So making sure, I feel like I've used that experience to help support law enforcement, both at the legislative level and now in the governor's office. And, part of, attraction and retention of residents and part of what makes our communities great in Iowa is that they're safe. And we want Iowa to be a place where, people can rest assured that they live in safe communities. And part of that is ensuring that we support our law enforcement across the state.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked a little bit about all of the exciting things, the 250th. Mm-hmm. That is something that I think we just had a meet and eat, you guys. And a lot of our folks that attended that wanted to know how they could get involved. Can we share with some of our listeners how that we can help?
Well, you might recall that President Trump came to the Iowa State Fairgrounds on July 3rd of 2025, earlier this year, and he really challenged all 50 states to do our part to celebrate America's birthday next year. So our 250th birthday in 2026. So of course, Governor Reynolds is competitive, as am I.
I love that.
So we want to make sure that our state does our part. But, really over the last 11 months as Lieutenant Governor, I go to a lot of our communities across the state and they say, we've got great people, great businesses, great schools, and great amenities, but nobody knows we're here. How do we tell our story? So I really feel like this is an opportunity. This America 250 opportunity is a great way for us to stop being so darn humble as Iowans and tell our stories and celebrate the people and the innovations and the businesses and the fabric of what Iowa is all about and how we've not only contributed to the success of the United States over the last 250 years, but I think this really gives us an opportunity to tell the stories of what makes Iowa a great place to live, work, play, raise a family, and retire. And so I'm really looking forward to amplifying those and really spotlighting and showcasing all of those great stories about what's going on here in Iowa. So we do have a website, america250.iowa.gov, and that's where we're going to be posting all of the great things that are going across all 99 counties in the state of Iowa over the next year. I mean, it'll go through December of 2026. It's a year-long celebration. Wow. And there's also we have an X handle. We also have a Facebook group, and there's a form on the website. So if there is a story or an event or anything that is being celebrated with the America 250 that is themed to celebrate America 250, anyone can go on that website and submit that form so that we can be sure to put it on the website and amplify it through our social media channels.
That's awesome. And just include it. I know that we have recently, it's been a little over a year now, but our bridge was our Veterans Bridge. So you'll definitely on your way out have to check that bridge out. But we really honor all the branches of the military and armed forces and prisoners of war on that bridge. And so it's a really cool thing. But I know that we've had some folks asking, how do they get involved? And so that's great that we've got a place to point folks. Yes. And we can definitely add that as a link in the comments of this podcast as well.
Excellent.
With that, are there any things that you're excited about for some goals for the future of Iowa?
Well, I mean, we're continuing to just really make sure that we're more competitive as a state so that we can attract and retain our people and our workforce. I mean, we hear from the business communities, all sectors of business, how do we attract that pipeline and how do we keep our kids in the state after they graduate? So, really working hard on being competitive from a tax standpoint. We've gone down to the 3.8% flat tax. We've eliminated the inheritance tax and the retirement income tax. And then we've also gotten more competitive on our employment tax, unemployment tax, our corporate income tax. And of course, one of the priorities for the legislature and Governor Reynolds in this next upcoming session is looking at property tax reform. And how can we be smarter about how we can deliver services to our citizens in a more effective and efficient manner. So, I know that's something that we're working. The governor is going around the state right now, having roundtables with locally elected officials, community leaders to talk about what that looks like, and just make sure that we're like I said in our lunch that a house should be an investment. I mean, you're encouraged to build a home and plant your roots, but it shouldn't become a burden later in life when you're retired and maybe on a fixed income. So, how are we protecting our seniors and those on a fixed income from being priced out of their house because of property taxes and assessments going up? So that's something that we're hearing a lot about. And then just really, we had a DOGE task force that's looking at ways, to really continually look at ways to be more efficient and effective and, run government more like a business and be more efficient. We've done with the governor's realignment, she went from 37 cabinet positions down to 16, and in merging some of those departments, I'm an IT technology person, so this is a big one for me. Each department had their own IT. And every department was getting, buying their own software and their procurement, and there were licenses all over the place that really wasn't being tracked. And just taking all those departments under one umbrella and one IT umbrella and coordinating that has already saved taxpayers $210 million in just 2 years. Wow. And, that to me is just scratching the surface of ways we can be smarter about how we deliver government at all low, state level, county level and local level, schools and cities, et cetera. But, just always being, continuous improvement on how we can lessen the tax burden, but also deploy the services that our citizens
need
expect,
and want. Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I mean, we want to have safe schools. We want to have good schools. We want to have safe communities. We want to have arts and culture and recreation and trails.
All the things.
And those things cost money, and they're an investment for a community, but that's how we attract attract and retain our residents. And, tourism activities is another one. If you can get people to visit here, they might look around and see this as a place that they might want to, they could see themselves, and which is a great thing to do. So I'm excited about, the work that we've done over the last 6 years, and we have a new administration that's going to be coming in next year.
Yep.
And, hopefully, a lot of these programs that have been established to continue to address, healthcare, mental health, and our education system, and continually to evolve how we train our workforce to help take our businesses and our economy to the next level, continuing that work and getting the bureaucracy and all the red tape out of government. The governor's red tape review is one of my favorites. It's already eliminated 4,000 unneeded regulations and rules that we had in the state government. And, it's just something that we have to constantly look at to say, this might have made sense 40 years ago, but it's not viable in today's economy and where we want to head. So I'm excited about what we're doing on the Governor's STEM Council with emerging technologies like artificial intelligence and cybersecurity.
Because I feel like every week you'll read articles and you're like, wow, this is happening. I cannot believe, pinch me, we're now living in AI.
It is.
And it's evolving before our eyes. So yes, if you can share kind of what the state's doing with that.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. Here's a quick word from our sponsors.
This podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital. Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market. Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarket.com or call us at 515-302-8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarket.com. That's digitalagent@spinmarket.com or 515-302-8026. Or visit our website at www.spinmarket.com.
So, it's exciting with what we're doing with the Iowa Governor's STEM Council and really addressing those emerging technologies like artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. Wow. So that's exciting. And I have a technology background. My degree's in computer science, and I was actually a nerd in the 80s before it was cool to be a nerd.
Before it was a cool thing.
Yeah. So my dad and I read PC Magazine, and we were following Bill Gates and the rise of Microsoft. And I had a dot matrix printer in high school, and I actually did my science fair project in 8th grade on artificial intelligence. And
really,
I was looking for an idea, and my dad said, "Why don't you do it on artificial intelligence and machine learning?" And I said, "Dad,
Internet of Things?
Yeah, nobody knows what that stuff is." And that is true. Nobody knew what it was. So I got an A on the project. But, my point in saying that is the fact that AI didn't just happen overnight. It's a technology that's been developed over many, many decades. And, we are leveraging it. We have businesses across the state of Iowa that are leveraging the power of AI to deliver better services to their clients and customers, to be able to market more intentionally to their potential customers. And so it's very exciting that we're doing that type of stuff, and something that we're doing, to make sure that we are preparing our students who are coming up in a world of technology in the future. We can't say don't use AI. I mean, that's just not viable. But we want to be able to teach our students how to use it ethically and responsibly, and not replace their ability to critically think, but to enhance their learning and enhance what they're doing on their projects and in their learning. So we are in the process of developing standards for K-12 education for artificial intelligence and also data science, and then also we're updating our computer science standards to make sure that they're more aligned in what our industry and our businesses across Iowa expect. So I think with the realignment and what we're doing with the Department of Education and our workforce development, we really are being very intentional on how our business community is speaking to our educational community. So, getting teachers and career counselors out into our local businesses to really see what jobs are out there in our community so they can go back and talk to our students. like these are great jobs in our communities, and they can go out in the real world,
right,
and then take that relevancy back to their classrooms, and you have children, I have children, and I was one of those kids that said, when am I ever going to learn this in the real world? Well, when education and the business community are talking, you can go back and tell students, this is why you need to know math. This is why you need to be able to get up in public speak, or why you need to be able to write effectively, and why you need all these skills. And so, and then also we're preparing students for jobs that don't that will be here in 10 years that don't exist today.
So how do we train them for something that we have no idea yet, or we have inklings?
Critical thinking, problem solving, teamwork, communication skills, collaboration, all of those things that they're going to need that can prepare them for whatever it is that they go into.
Right.
Really, with the realignment of the STEM Council, I'm very excited that we have representatives from trades. We have representatives from all facets of education, from private to charter to public schools, community colleges, private and public universities. And then, we've got our trades represented. We've got, members of our business community, our technology community, and really everybody working together to ensure that, whatever pathway and career exploration that a child can do when they're K through 12, and really getting those work-based real world opportunities to get out and explore career options while they're still in high school.
They're younger.
And that can actually save them a lot of time and money after high school. If you think, I want to go, I want to be a doctor, and then you go do maybe a job shadow or an apprenticeship in a healthcare clinic, and you think, oh boy, this is not what I thought it was going to be.
Not really for me.
And then you start to explore other options. That can really help you when you do that while you're still in high school. And of course, there's opportunities to take community college classes while you're in high school. We have many students that are graduating from high school with associate's degrees, which is
amazing.
Fantastic. So I think, we've got a lot of opportunities in our educational system where, kids can explore those types of opportunities, and then really understand what kind of careers are out there. And then, no matter what they decide to do after high school, we are preparing them to succeed. So it might be going to a 2 or 4 year college. It might be going into an apprenticeship. It might be going into the military, or it might be going directly into the workforce.
Right.
So, whatever it is that they decide to do, there's a lot of really wonderful opportunities here in Iowa. And, as a technology person, and with our deployment of broadband across the state, I like to say we are a tech state and we are an innovative state. So, with our access to high-speed internet across the state, you don't have to go to a coast, or you don't have to leave the state to do cool things.
And I have siblings that live in Oregon, right? And so, only one out of a bunch of siblings I have own a home there, because the cost is so, and there was just a stat that Iowa came out with that we were #1 from millennial home ownership. So as a millennial, I'm like, that is so cool. And whenever I have my, my brother, he lived in LA, Seattle, and Portland. And so whenever he comes out, he's like, hey, how much did you pay for this? So this would be like $1 million, it's just so crazy that also my traffic is, 60 miles takes 60 minutes in Iowa. You know what I mean? And people just have no idea that you can have this great quality of life because it's affordability, and there's so many opportunities that really can elevate somebody's standard of living. And I think, like you said, we're so humble as Iowans. So, just getting that out there. So I'm excited for, we're wrapping up the quarter here of 2025. I'm excited for the new year and to see some of the neat things that you're talking about with the 250th and STEM and Empower Rural Iowa. So that'll be very exciting. Is there anything else that you want to share with some of our listeners about anything from the state of Iowa as abroad?
Yeah, I mean, we are looking at going into the next session. We're looking at property tax reform, and
that's very complex.
It is very complex, and we've also got some recommendations from the DOGE task force, and that's looking for efficiencies in government as well. But I would say that all of these are just recommendations at this point. They all have to go through the legislative process. We'll have plenty of public input. So we are just looking to continually evolve in how we deliver services to our citizens, and how we continue to lighten the tax burden from our citizens. But, always looking at ways to improve the quality of life, the cost of living, and really enhance what makes Iowa a great place to be. So it's very exciting. The other thing is, and this is kind of a fun fact about how Iowa runs as a government, you've got this perception of how dysfunctional Washington, D.C. is with Congress. But in the state of Iowa, in the legislature, last year during the 2025 session, 94% of the bills passed in a bipartisan manner. So,
really?
So you may think that everybody's up there fighting all the time, but when 94% of if my kids got a 94% in the class, I'd be thrilled. So 94% of the bills, Republicans and Democrats agree and are coming together to put together good policy for all Iowans. And I think that's really important to know. We live in a rather, these are just kind of challenging, divisive times. And I think there's more that we have in common than we are different. Everyone cares about having good schools, safe communities, job opportunities, economic development, and arts, culture, recreational opportunities, and all the things that make Iowa a great place to be. So I think we've got 150 legislators that are going to head back to the legislative session in January, and we all want to. I think everyone has ideas on how to make Iowa, continually improve and move in the right direction. So we are going to continue to do that. It is never without its challenges.
Absolutely.
But I think everybody there is there to serve Iowans, and the news doesn't always report the good parts. It's sometimes the parts that gets them clicks. But I can tell you from my experience at both as a school board member and as a member of the legislature, and now Lieutenant Governor, there's a lot of really good people working hard to make Iowa a great place to be.
Nice. Well, I'm excited to be a part of it and just watch us hopefully propel forward in the coming months and for years to come.
Well, you're doing wonderful things here in the Fort Dodge area. I mean, it's just been it's been a great day getting to know the people up here and all the wonderful things that you're doing, collaborating with the community colleges and the business community. I mean, that lunch was just wonderful to see all the community leaders and business partners and educational partners coming together to really, you can tell there's a good collaboration and there's a lot of very good people. And really what really makes us powerful, I think, is just the people.
Yes, I agree. I couldn't agree with you more. And I think, we have such synergy and the collaboration between the city, the county, the public and private partnerships that push us forward. So very exciting to just see where we can all go from here. And just, this is our sphere in Webster County and Fort Dodge and this region's influence and what we can do then partnering on the state level, because there's a lot of collaboration that we do and continue to hope to do in the future. So that's very exciting. I want to thank you so much for being a guest today, not only for our lunch and for the tour at the Biofuels Lab, but also on the Alliance Connection.
Thank you, Astra. It's been an honor to be here. Thank you.
And I just want to note, look how beautiful these flowers are.
Lovely.
They are gorgeous, and it's kind of a foggy, misty day today. And when I come in to see these flowers, and Becker Florists, they donate this to us every time. So thank you, Becker. These are just a bright light, and what a joy to see these beautiful flowers.
They are gorgeous.
Thanks to them for always being a flower sponsor. All right, guys, again, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and check out our community calendar so you can stay in the know of all things Greater Fort Dodge Growth Alliance. All right, signing off. Every connection strengthens our community, and every conversation sparks new opportunities. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Alliance Connection.
Follow the Greater Fort Dodge Growth Alliance online and on social media. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode.
I'm Astra.
I'm Katie.
And we'll see you next time.